I think that when we talk to parents about just be kind to yourself, we're just so obsessed with doing things right or well that feels a little bit like BS until you start to think, okay, then forget about yourself for a minute. You think about your kid, and when your kid makes a big mistake at school, or your kid feels left out, or your kid says something awkward, or your kid loses a job, or like, what do you want them to do after that? Like, how do you want them to feel in their bodies? You probably don't want them to feel like, to have their inner voice say to themselves, I'm such an idiot. God, I suck. I just am the worst. Like, okay, so if that's not what you want for them, because the only thing we know about human beings really is that they're just going to keep screwing up constantly. Like, that's just what we do. We know that's going to happen to them. The only way that they're going to have a self-compassionate inner voice is if they've seen that. That's what got me. I wish what got me is just like, obviously you should be kinder to yourself. But thinking, what do I want my kids to have as their inner voice when they screw up is what I have to become and model. That's what reparenting is.
And I think that's such great advice, because there's evidence from Kristen Neff's lab at UT Austin that if you want your kid to develop a self-compassionate voice, you have to model that self-compassionate voice, and ideally model it out loud, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're saying, like, Abby, your story about, apologizing of like, Mom messed up. I probably should have been nicer to you about not feeling well. I'm going to try to do differently in the future. I'm going to take some time to think about this. That's so much nicer than secretly beating yourself up inside, or than watching the consequences of you secretly beating yourself up inside. Allowing yourself to be vulnerable actually helps your kids, because then they get to sort of see how you do it, which is so important for their own development.
Yes. Even naming the patterns. Like, there's one way of, I could have gone to Emma and said, I suck. I'm just so judgmental and I can't figure. That's not the whole story. Like, I learned that as a coping mechanism, and I said, Emma, like, I'm doing my best with this. This is something that I learned to keep myself safe. It's not my favorite part of myself, but this is how human beings work. So even that, like, when she's 40 and when she's 49 and she's talking to her kid, I don't want her beating herself up about her coping mechanisms, but I do want her telling my granddaughter what hers are, because I feel like all we're trying to do each generation is like, it's like somebody gave us, I paint a lot. So it's like you get a certain hue of paint from your parents and you just keep adding more and more color. Like, you add more white to it or whatever. You just try to like clear it a little bit each generation. So all we're doing is trying to get each other to look at our stuff and say, I'm not going to take that with me. I see you. I'm not going to take that with me, but we're not making it all bad or good.
And compassion has been really difficult for me personally. It's been my life's journey, self-love, right? Worthiness. And so for the listener who also struggles with this, like, I totally get it. And it is extraordinarily hard. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm my biggest critic, right? If I didn't get it perfect, if I didn't get it exactly right. I mean, I'm a very optimistic person, and I see the very best in so many people around me. And yet when it comes to myself, I can be so critical and so unloving.
You're so not alone. I often joke that if people could hear what we say to ourselves in our heads, then we'd all get fired, because HR would be like, would put us all up for harassment. Yes. And like, it was so mean to ourselves.
Harassment. Oh, that's amazing.
And so it is difficult. But I think when Glennon told me that too, this is early days, that she said this to me, and she said, one of the most important things around parenting that we can offer our children is just the modeling of the way we live. So much of my experience, and that really got me thinking, like, oh yeah, my dad drank every day, and that was something I aspired to do. Oh yeah, then I became an alcoholic. Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, I put my dad and his drinking ability on a pedestal as something that I wanted to become. And the same thing happens, and it might not be as obvious and as detrimental as alcoholism. It might be snark. It might be judgment. It might be, I don't even know what kind of food you choose to eat. Like, there are things that the modeling is important, and modeling therapy. Like, if I'm not getting this compassion for myself thing right, I'm modeling to my kids. I go to therapy every single week and they know it.
The modeling is so useful because one of the things we know from the research is that a very quick emotion that parents go to is guilt. And when you start to realize that treating yourself nice, working on yourself, putting in that work, that's actually parenting for the future. That's so like when your kid's 49, they'll talk to, your granddaughter in a really nice way. I think that can just give parents permission to like take the time and put in the work to take care of themselves, which they wouldn't normally do. But when it's for their kids, they do it.